It's here, it's time for me to reveal who I'm going with for my new Stocks and Shares ISA. I have dragged this out a lot as I was really struggling with my decision, and it's probably not as exciting as I'm making it out to be, but I just wanted to share it as a lot of you guys have been asking. Just to give you some background in case you didn't know, I've held my Stocks and Shares ISA up until this tax year with Vanguard. And they've been fantastic, but right now they are not offering what I need them to offer, so I've decided to move to a new provider. Just wanted to say quickly, I don't think there's such thing as a best ISA. It's really going to depend on what you individually are looking for. I went back and forth for a long time on who to go with for my ISA this year, and I think that's because there isn't that many great providers in the UK that offer what I want them to offer. At one point, I was also considering just sticking with Vanguard and investing in individual stocks and doing my dividend portfolio outside of my ISA and just utilising my dividend allowance and capital gains tax allowance. But then I thought one day I'm just going to have to switch and it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, so I may as well keep everything within my ISA as much as possible, so it's tax protected. This is not a sponsored video, this was my genuine decision and it affects where I put my money, so I wasn't going to be influenced by any sponsored offers, but hopefully I will have an affiliate link that I'll pop in the description should you want to use it. Just check out whether it's there. It may not be at the moment, but by the time you're watching this, it could well be. Like I said, choosing an ISA is a really personal decision, and what works for one person and their investments will not work for someone else and what they want to invest in. So just before I tell you who I'm going with this financial tax year, I want to tell you what I was actually looking for, as then my decision will probably make a lot more sense. So the first thing I needed a platform to offer me was the ability to have an ISA. It sounds really simple, but some platforms just don't offer an ISA at the moment, and that was just a no-go for me. I needed a provider to offer an ISA as I really want my investing to be as tax efficient as it possibly can. The next thing I wanted, and this was a really big one for me and straight away eliminated a lot of providers, was that I needed this ISA to be able to hold my investments in ETFs, index funds, but also I needed it to be able to have dividend UK stocks and US individual stocks as well. I wanted a place where I can do all of my investing in just one simple way. Because right now, as you'll know, well, not right now, but before I made the change, I was investing all of my index funds and ETFs in Vanguard. And then I was having to invest in individual stocks outside of Vanguard because Vanguard wasn't offering that. So it was really important to me to have one ISA provider that would allow me to invest in all my different investment types in one place. The next thing I wanted was for this provider to have both a mobile app and a desktop version. Although I am very much a long-term investor and I probably don't need an app, I really like having one. I like to be able to look into different stocks and into my investments and my portfolios when I'm out and about, or perhaps when I just don't have my laptop handy. But I did also want a desktop version because I plan to carry on with my portfolio update videos, and having it on a desktop and recording the screen on my laptop is a lot more useful for that. And of course, I wanted both the mobile app and the desktop version to be decent. I wanted them to be really informative. I didn't want them to be half-hearted attempts and just not give me very much at all. I wanted them to be customizable. I wanted them to have lots of information about the stocks and about the ETFs on there. So yeah, that wasn't an all or nothing point for me, but it was definitely an important point. The next thing I was looking for is perhaps kind of one of the most important things alongside what they offer, and that was their fees. I wanted a provider, an ISA provider, to not charge me an extortionate amount of money. I didn't really want to have to pay a fee to hold the ISA, plus a conversion fee, plus any trading fees. I just didn't want that all to add up to a lot of money each month, because I've had the experience with Vanguard now where they are quite low cost. They're a low cost platform and their fees are quite small, which means I obviously as the investor get to keep more of my money, which is great. And there are actually platforms, like I spoke about in my last video that I'll pop up here, that are actually seemingly cheaper than Vanguard. But even so, I didn't want to be going from Vanguard to a platform that's going to charge me a lot of money, as I just wasn't prepared for that as an investor. And the last two requirements kind of tie into my previous one, and that is I wanted this platform to be able to offer me everything I needed. I wanted it to offer a diverse range of stocks, ETFs, index funds, and I wanted to be able to get fractional shares. With all that said and all of my requirements out the way, the ISA provider that I've decided to go with this financial tax year is Interactive Brokers. Now, a lot of you were actually guessing what platform I was going with, and not a lot of you actually said Interactive Brokers. I saw a lot of Hargreaves Lansdown, a lot of Free Trade, a lot of Invest Engine, but I didn't really see many people say Interactive Brokers. I think I only saw 3 of you suggest it, and that was more saying that you go with them rather than what you think I will go with. So this is probably going to be quite a surprise. I wasn't really even considering Interactive Brokers at all when I was deciding up until kind of the last minute. And that's because I didn't realise they had a stocks and shares ISA. I've not really heard about it on YouTube at all. I've not really seen it anywhere. And it took a lot of research to even find out that they were offering a stocks and shares ISA for the first time this year. Before that, they've been quite focused on trading. I've heard about them, but I've never really looked into them because, like I said, I needed an ISA. So if you want a new ISA provider or you just haven't picked one for this financial tax year, definitely have a look into them because, like I said, I didn't even know that it was an option until the last minute. So now you know who I'm going with. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty reasons as to why I actually picked them and why they seem to be the best ISA choice for me. This is going to be a bit of an overview, so if you want a more in-depth video into Interactive Brokers or anything about them, do let me know and I'll definitely film that in the future. So the first thing that drew me in is that they offer everything I could need. I can invest into index funds, ETFs, individual US stocks, individual UK stocks. I can even get exposure to more global markets, the European market. Literally everything I could ever want and every stock I could ever want is available on Interactive Brokers. And that really drew me in because I was really struggling to find somewhere that I could actually invest into all these different things that I wanted. And like I said, I want to start a dividend portfolio, and I needed a place to do that. I was really toying with Trading 212, and that probably would have been right up there as well. But like I said in my last video, they weren't accepting new investors, so it was just not an option. You're probably now thinking, okay, well, you said that you couldn't have picked Trading 212, you couldn't have picked Invest Engine, you couldn't have picked Vanguard because it didn't offer everything you wanted. But there are other options. You know, there is Free Trade, there's Hargreaves Lansdown, there's lots of other options. And this is where I specifically chose Interactive Brokers over some of these other options, which I do think are good for some people. It just wasn't the right decision for me right now. Like I said, Interactive Brokers are quite a new kid on the block. They are the new offering in the stocks and shares ISA world. And what I will say is understanding their fees is really, really difficult. Their fee structure and just their fees in general is really complicated to understand. I spent a lot of time going through their fees on their website and just trying to digest what it actually meant and how much I would actually be paying. So Interactive Brokers charge £3 per month. So that's £3 that you pay for holding the ISA with them. This sounds similar to Free Trade actually. But with Interactive Brokers, you get the first £3 in transaction fees free, meaning they are included in your £3 per month fee. So you're not going to pay £3 to hold the ISA and then on top of that pay all of your other transaction fees, providing your transaction fees are less or equal to that £3. So like I've said, there is that account fee of £3, and then as long as your transaction fees are under that £3, you don't pay. You only pay that £3. If your transaction fees go above the £3, you will just pay the difference per month. For me and a lot of other people, you probably won't be racking up transaction fees of more than £3 per month. So it's probably literally going to be £3 per month to use this stocks and shares ISA. But let's just discuss transaction fees anyway. With their transaction costs, again, it's a little bit complicated, but they basically have 2 different fee structure options. They have fixed and they have tiered. And the cost also depends on what you're buying. US stocks, UK stocks, ETFs, and so on. You get to pick which structure you want to go with, tiered or fixed, and you can change this whenever you want. These fee structures work in different ways, but they're both pretty cheap when you actually look at the numbers. And one will probably be a little bit cheaper than the other option, depending on what you're buying and how much you're actually investing. But having said all that, it's very unlikely that I will be going over that £3 per month in transaction fees. So for me, I will just be spending £3 per month and no extra costs. Another reason that I decided to go with Interactive Brokers, and something I really like about them, is they offer both a mobile app and a desktop app. Now, the desktop version is a little bit confusing, maybe not so beginner friendly, and I'm still trying to get used to it myself, but it does have a lot of information on there. The mobile app is beginner friendly. It's really, really nice and it's really simple to use. Like I said, they're both really comprehensive. They have a ton of information, but I'm just looking now at my app just to give you an example. And if I go onto Apple stock, it gives me, I'll do a whole video about this, I think, in the future, but it gives me all the basic stuff. So the highs and lows of the day, the percentage loss, the percentage gain, the price of the stock. It gives me charts. I can look at that as a line or a candlestick chart. But it also gives me calendar events. It tells me when the next earnings are going to be released. If it's a dividend paying stock, when the next dividends come in. Then it gives you some market data, the highs and lows, the market cap, the P ratio, the dividend yield. It tells you the company profile. And it even has this really nice section called analyst ratings, which tells you based on a certain amount of analysts, whether it's going to be a buy, a hold or a sell. And it tells you all the news related to this stock. It's a really, really one hit way of investing, if that makes sense. It's really comprehensive, and that has definitely been a very much selling point for me, because with a lot of these new upcoming companies, they have fantastic apps. So you sometimes worry about going with a more established company. Will they have such a nice mobile app? And actually, Interactive Brokers really do. This next one is related to fees, actually. I don't know why I didn't include it in earlier, but their conversion fee, their FX fee, is really, really tiny. Obviously, this is going to matter if you're based in the UK and you're buying US stocks, for example, because with Interactive Brokers, you hold your money on the account as pounds if you're in the UK, and then you have to buy US stocks in dollars. It does it all automatically. You don't have to like physically convert the money. But if you've used any other app, you'll know that when you buy a US stock, you'll see some money coming off as an FX fee, so a conversion fee. And that may be £1, 50p, whatever it may be. With Interactive Brokers, it's really, really low. It's actually 0.03%. And I think this is the lowest around, actually. There will be some platforms, I think Stake's one of them, where you can invest in US stocks completely free. So if you only want US stocks, maybe look into them. Like I said, this is really, really subjective depending on what you want. But for me to have a place that I can invest in US stocks alongside UK dividend stocks and ETFs, and the conversion fee for US stocks is really small, that was a winner. The last thing I want to mention is that you can also get fractional shares on this platform. I don't know about you, but I don't have necessarily £780 sitting around ready to buy one share of Tesla. I would like to buy maybe £200 worth, and that is offered on this platform. You can get fractional shares. I didn't decide to transfer my Vanguard ISA to Interactive Brokers. I don't actually know if you can do that right now with Interactive Brokers. I think it's coming soon. But anyway, I decided to leave my Vanguard ISA alone. I'm not going to be paying any more into it because obviously you can only pay into one stocks and shares ISA per tax year. So I will share how that's doing with you guys. Maybe not monthly anymore, but just, whenever, to show you how that's growing. My intentions going forward for Interactive Brokers is to share my portfolio every month with you, as I have been with Vanguard. But instead I will be sharing both my ETF and index funds with you, but also my dividend portfolio as well, which is really, really exciting because I've been waiting to do that for a long, long time. In the meantime, if you want to see how I streamlined both my Vanguard and free trade portfolios ready for this new stocks and shares ISA, click here.